Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yanyi. I had my baby girl Elle in April this year. Today let's talk about some tips for taking care of newborn. As a mom of a 5-month-old, I've discovered some tricks that have truly made a difference in my life. I'm excited to share those with you guys today. My tip number 1, you can DIY a baby lounger. You can make a baby lounger using 2 items that most people already have at home. You might be wondering why you even need a baby lounger in the first place. The main point is to give the baby a cozy, womb-like environment when they sleep in the crib. In our case, we skipped buying a bassinet and went straight for a crib. Elle has been sleeping in the crib since day 1. The only issue with that is the 3-in-1 crib we bought was kind of huge for her little body. Babies are used to that snugness they had in their mom's womb for 9 or 10 months. So we came up with this baby lounger made out of a thick winter blanket and a pillowcase. As you can see, our baby lounger is not a closed loop, it's a U-shaped mini bed. It's like a bed in bed. Our daughter slept like a champ in it, and we don't have to worry anything about choking hazards or stuff like that. There are some fancy brand name baby loungers out there that look super nice, but let's face it, raising baby or babies is expensive. Using a baby lounger shouldn't cost an arm and leg. If you are not concerned about the portability of a baby lounger, I highly recommend making one yourself at home. Especially if you, like us, choose to have the baby sleep directly in the crib without transitioning from a bassinet. Tip number 2, buy pajamas with zipper. If you're a first-time parent, I highly recommend buying newborn pajamas with a zipper closure. The first reason is that zippered pajamas are super easy to put on and take off. They're awesome for quick and hassle-free diaper and outfit changes. When you are groggy during those middle-of-the-night diaper changes, if you're using those button pajamas, you will need to make sure you button them up correctly. There was one time I just misaligned with 2 buttons and I just let it be because I was so tired and didn't have the energy to make sure I realign everything properly. And let me tell you, when you are really tired, you don't want to think about button management on top of everything else. Another thing I didn't know before becoming a parent is how wobbly a newborn's head and neck are. Personally, I find it a bit challenging to slide a onesie over Elle's head. It feels like I'm handling something so delicate that I can't support the head and neck properly while putting on a onesie. Maybe I'm just more cautious in that department, but with a zippered onesie or pajama, you can just lay it flat under the baby, put the arms into the sleeves, guide each leg into the leg holes, and zip it back up. Our daughter Elle outgrew the zipper onesies I bought pretty quickly. So when she was longer than the size I bought, I cut off the feet part and just let her extend her legs. You can also use fabric softener to stretch the material a bit so the size may last your baby a bit longer. Tip number 3, learn newborn gas massage or gas exercise. So what I learned from the internet is babies are more likely to encounter gas and digestion problems as early as the second half of their first month, and it could last the whole second month. Infant gas massage techniques vary, and there are many guides on the internet. I'm gonna show you the one that worked the best for our family. Whenever Elle wakes up, I or another family member gently press her knees up toward her chest and press down with a little force there for 10 times. Depending on how cooperative her legs are, sometimes we do 10 bicycle kicks instead. For bicycle kicks, you hold your baby's legs and move them up and down in a pedaling motion. Then we hold her legs close together and do a circular motion 10 times each time, clockwise and counterclockwise. It's oddly satisfying to hear all those little farts. And it's best to wait at least 30 minutes after feeding to massage your baby to reduce the chance of vomiting. Doing that exercise whenever Elle wakes up really helped her alleviate gas, and I don't think she cried once because of feeling too gassy. Tip number 4, fold the diaper before you toss it. For this one, I will do a demonstration. You basically roll a diaper up and fold the 2 wings to the middle. If you use a diaper pail, you know those refill bags are not cheap. I find folding diapers smaller this way can save you some space and how frequently you need to empty the diaper pail. Tip number 5, wear mittens for the first month. I've heard some debate on whether babies should wear mittens, and some folks discourage wearing mittens because it interferes with babies' development, especially hand control. In our case, we were given 2 super cute pairs of mittens and we use them from around month 1 to maybe early month 2. The main reason mittens are great for us is because they stop our baby from scratching her face or eyes. Before we put mittens on Elle, we noticed new scratches on her face almost every day. Even though we trim her nails regularly, somehow she still manages to scratch her face and leave small red marks here and there. And baby skin is really soft. At the newborn stage, when they can't control their hand movements at all, mittens can be useful to preventing those accidental scratches. That being said, it's entirely a personal choice if you want to give your newborn mittens. For one, I've seen people use baby socks as mittens. Secondly, the PJs we bought, which if you are curious, are from O2 babies. And basically you can unfold the hand part and they just become mittens, so you don't have to buy mittens separately. Tip number 6, aim for age-appropriate wake window and nap length. If you're not familiar with the term wake window, it basically refers to the amount of time a baby stays awake between sleep sessions. During this time, all activities count toward wake windows, whether it's feeding, changing diapers, doing tummy times, or going outside. A newborn schedule is pretty simple and predictable. It usually goes something like eat, sleep, play, or eat, play, sleep. Initially, I've never heard of the term like wake windows or undertired or overtired until I came across some of these terms on some of the YouTube videos. And I learned that they're super important. For a newborn, their wake windows are very short, typically around 45 minutes to an hour. It's crucial to pay attention to this so your baby doesn't become overtired. When newborns get overtired, it becomes really hard for them to fall asleep, which means more effort and struggle for you to put them to sleep. Even though Elle is not a newborn anymore, I still go to Taking Care of Babies to read some of her blog posts for guidance on wake windows and sleep training. I will drop a link to the article in the description box below on the topic of wake window for your reference. My 7th tip is to keep the room dark for nighttime feeding and diaper change. If you happen to have a bright overhead light in your bedroom, try not to turn it on during nighttime diaper change or feeding. Bright lights can be too stimulating for a newborn, kind of like chatting up your baby during nighttime feeding and diaper change too. Even though newborns haven't started making melatonin yet, you don't want to suddenly make your baby super alert. By keeping the room dark or using a dim light, you won't mess up the baby's sleep cycle. Less light means less stimulation, and it's easier for newborns to fall back asleep after feeding and diaper change that way. This video is not sponsored, but we use Casper's The Glow lights to keep our room dimly lit. The light is mostly gesture-based, so you can twist and adjust the brightness to your liking. It's also a warm light, which is really calming and cozy compared to a brighter, cooler blue light. It's not as harsh, and we can go back to sleep pretty easy with this light. There are plenty of options out there. The key is to choose a light that works for your family and your baby. My next tip is to clip baby nails while the baby is asleep. Since baby nails are so tiny and soft, I was a little anxious to trim Elle's nails initially. When it comes to different tools, I'm more comfortable using a nail filer. I found that it's actually the easiest to trim Elle's nails while she's fast asleep. Newborns tend to sleep quite a bit, which works out perfectly for this task. When they're asleep, babies tend to be less fidgety, so you don't have to worry about them moving around too much. This makes it a lot safer and simpler for you to trim their nails without any risk of accidentally nicking them. Tip number 9 is borrow books from a local library. Reading books is a wonderful activity for tummy time and anytime while your baby is awake. Even though at the newborn stage they may not understand any of the content, they can still pick up on the rhythms and the tones of your voice. Reading books to your baby is great for early language development and laying a strong foundation for learning different sounds. For reading activity at home, we use a mix of our own books and books we borrowed from a local library. We're fortunate to live not too far away from a library, so I go there every 3 weeks or so to borrow anywhere from 3 to 10 books. That is where we get most of Al's book collection for now. If you also have a library nearby, I highly recommend you to make use of this great resource that can help you cut some costs too. I can't emphasize enough that reading is such an amazing bonding activity that is budget friendly at the same time. The last tip for today's video is tracking naps, feeds, diapers, and milestones in a mobile app. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Once your baby is born, as new parents, you go to these baby wellness checkups. Our pediatrician will ask questions like how many diapers you've seen in a day, how many times she's fed, how did breastfeeding go, questions like that. When we were still at the hospital for recovery, I remember the nurse gave us a piece of paper, like a checklist, and asked us similar questions. But I was like, there's no way I'm going to track everything with pen and paper. The goal of tracking and logging your newborn's activities is to notice patterns in terms of eating, playing, sleeping, pooping, and peeing to help you establish a routine with your baby and better anticipate his or her needs. If there are any potential issues, for example, if your baby isn't producing enough wet diapers in a day, that could be a sign of dehydration. Another example is you may notice your baby wakes up a lot at night. If that keeps happening, you may be scratching your head. One possible explanation is that they simply sleep too much during the day. And whether that's the case or not, you can check from your baby tracker app by adding up the total hours of your baby's naps and see if that's truly the case or not. Similarly, when I mentioned the diapers before, you can also count numbers of the diapers your baby had in a day in the baby tracker app. At first, I downloaded Huckleberry and I really liked its user interface. It always works very well. However, we ended up using another app called Baby Daybook, mainly because my husband and I wanted an app that supports multiple users. And I would also appreciate an app that works on Apple Watch. If multiple people are caring for your baby, like both parents, grandparents, or a nanny, tracking can help everyone stay on the same page. I think Huckleberry supports multiple users too, but you and your partner may have to share a login. So it's not the best multi-user experience we were looking for. If there are multiple caregivers in your family, it is particularly important to ensure that multiple caregivers aren't overlapping tasks. For example, if I just fed my baby and I log it, that way my husband wouldn't think, oh, I haven't fed in 3 hours, and he just repeat the task. That is a wrap. That are my all 10 newborn hacks. I hope you found these tips and tricks helpful and that they make your life as a new mom or mom to be a little bit easier. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more motherhood videos and more parenting tips and tricks. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Being a parent is a journey, and I just started this journey. We are all learning as we go, so let's support and encourage each other along the way. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.